into the Meadowlands pace lore.
Speaking of Brett Pelling, he sent out the favorite Confederate in elimination number 2. There was plenty of speed in elimination number 2, so we're going to take a look at that replay right now.
They're off. Christchurch is up fast with Stockade, Sealster. Lions Surfing being urged on and blasting off with Confederate showing up on the inside 4th. Ammo is 5th into the first turn. Then it's Gung Ho. That one followed by El Rey, and the early trailer is Save America. Hustling up on the outside, it's the long shot Lions Surfing, and Joe Bongiorno pressed to a quarter, 25-4. Pressure Christchurch on the inside. Christchurch, and he's softened up by Lions Surfing on the outside. These two in a cutthroat duel. Stockade, Sealster stalks the dueling leaders from 3rd. Gap of 3 to Confederate 4th on the inside. Then comes Ammo and Gung Ho and El Rey and Save America. They're at the half, going at it tooth and nail. Christchurch on the inside in 52-1. Stunning half mile here. Christchurch in front. Lions Surfing hung out to dry, but continues to apply intense pressure here. Stockade, Sealster, a dreamy 2-hole ride, and now launching to the outside comes Confederate from 4th. Ammo is 5th off the speed. Gung Ho looking to catapult as well. El Rey shooting through on the inside and needs racing room. Save America needs to pass them all, and they turn for home. And it's still Christchurch in front, but here comes Confederate on the outside with a full head of steam. 120-1 for 3/4. And Confederate on the outside explodes. Confederate and Tetrick drawing clear. Confederate, Christchurch 2nd. And then it's back to Ammo 3rd. And El Rey 4th to the wire. It's Confederate to win it. Confederate and the Bionic Band. Then came El Rey, Christchurch, Ammo, and Stockade.
A 147-3 score for Confederate. Brett Pelling was also one of the trainers that we caught up with earlier this week, and it was a lot of fun going to his barn. You know, he took us through the entire barn, was talking to us about breedings and, you know, just the background of horses. And Confederate seems to be like a cool little horse.
Oh, is he ever? And you know, and Brett Pelling's a cool guy too. Yeah, a lot of fun to catch up with him, and he's able to reflect on his history in this race, and you know, he's been at this a long time, so kind of, I think, a fun stage for him, right? He's at that where, you know, he's won this race multiple times. Of course, he would love to win it again this weekend, but looking back at the different circumstances he had in those early days, including David's Pass, his first winner, who he says he was probably the most proud of, you know, the job or the management job that he had to do from the elimination to the final with him.
Yeah, I asked him in that when we were talking, he's been in the Meadowlands pace so often, it's like, and he's looking to make it number 5 this year. What does it take to get a horse to peak at the right time? And he, you know, preached management. He knows how long, like the longevity of the 3-year-old's career. And he really liked his colt coming into it. What I really liked about Confederate and what he said was he had 3 weeks off after the North America Cup final, and he only trained him once. And he said he probably won't train him this week. He's such a nice, easy horse on himself.
Yeah, and that's what I marveled at in all of these colts. They're at the point in their season where they've all got a number of starts under their belt now. They're peaking, like they're fine-tuned athletes, and they look the part, you can tell, and he definitely fits the bill. And you know, they don't probably need a lot of certainly work from a fitness standpoint between starts. Now when they're training, it's likely just to get them up on their toes, or if there's something that you want to tweak or change. But Brett takes a different approach. You know what, he says, this horse is ready to go. I just want to keep him kind of happy and fresh and bring him to the track ready to go. And I don't think there's anybody better than Brett Pelling over the years in pointing horses for specific big races. And I think of a rock and roll Hanover back the year. He was winning everything in sight, and he was at his best when it counted the most.
You know, he said, I've won 4, but I've been second 5 times, and one of them was against myself. So, of course, we go back to 2020 when he was second with Pappy Rab Hanover, and then 3rd with Allywag Hanover and against Tall Dark Stranger. But just the, you know, the longevity of Brett's career in general has been so fun to watch, and it's so fun to listen to all the stories he has to say.
Absolutely. So, you know, he knows what it takes. He's had the heartbreak of getting beaten many times, but he's been able to experience the joy of being in that Meadowlands Pace winner's circle several times. And I like his chances to be there again this weekend. I love Confederate. And Brett concurred that he's got so many tactical weapons on his side. He's, as mentioned, he's a finely tuned athlete. He can carry his speed a long way. He's absolutely push button. You can do anything you want with him. And when you ask for speed, it's instant with him. So it gives Tim Tetrick so many options to work with there. But, there's some others in that elimination race, fantastic. And Christchurch is one that some people are kind of off of his bandwagon.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with him. There aren't many colts that could put up that kind of a half mile under that much pressure and live to tell about it. And he hung on. He was a gritty third, and he's a serious colt in his own right.
We were talking to Nancy earlier this week, and she said Dexter was holding into him a little bit, and he thought maybe you could have choked him there a few times going up the backside. And like you said, 52-1 at the half, and only beaten a length, finishing third, and lived to tell about it. This colt definitely has plenty of gate speed, plenty of speed in general, and he's going to get a new driver. He's going to pick up Yannick in the final.
And that will not hurt his chances.
No.
Yannick, certainly in recent years, has been the go-to driver when it comes to the Meadowlands pace. So he knows what he's jumping up behind here. Post 3, he will be involved, no question, in the early pace scenario again. But Christchurch, there's two ways to look at that race. Some will think that'll take something out of him. Others will say, you know what, that'll probably just get him a little bit tighter, and he could be heard from even more so this week in the final. And we shouldn't wrap up here without talking about second place finisher El Rey. This guy appears like he's really starting to find his groove at just the right time. He's been raging with pace in 3 of his last 4 at the end, including that elimination.
Yeah, and I talked to Tony, and he did scope him a couple of weeks ago, had a little bit of blood mixed with mucus, low dosage of Lasix, and he really liked the step forward. That was the El Rey that we saw back in the Governor's Cup. But it's not like he had been racing bad. He just had a couple of disappointing trips. He was stacked up 4th over in a couple of those races. He was sprinting home hard. That's one thing I do like about that colt, is he always seems to have a good sprint home.
And it's a fine line, right? If you just don't have that 26-second, 25 and change last quarter in you at this level, you're just going to be racing for a minor share. But he's been razor sharp in the last couple. Now, having said that, had a nice ground-saving trip, didn't have to do a lot of work in there. So really, I think sets him up beautifully for the final this weekend. And he's another one that, to see in person, this is one impressive specimen. He is an absolute tank of a horse, and we're starting to see that the potential that he showed last year starting to come out recently.
Speaking of a ground-saving trip, I do want to mention Ammo. This is Joe Holloway's entry in here. Of course, the Breeders' Crown champ at the age of 2 up at Woodbine Mohawk Park. And we do know he can leave the gate. Maybe he can mix things up early.
Absolutely, and he was sneaky good in that elimination.
He was.
I think he was he looked a lot more lively on the end of the mile too. And who knows, that might be just a sign that he's starting to step forward again here and become a player in the division. We know the talent that's there. Unfortunately, by finishing 4th in the Elam, he went into that more of the open draw. Another tough post for him, and that's been difficult to deal with. And at this level, saddled with 9 and 10 hole starting positions, it's a lot to overcome. But you're right, he's a classy colt. He's got tactical speed, and he's going to have to use that to some extent this weekend if he's going to be a player.
And of course, just want to mention Save America post 10 for this guy. Nancy did say, it's hard to get involved from the way he was taken off the gate last week. Macakaylee will drive him in the final. But again, he's one that we saw in the North America Cup leave the gate hard, and she thinks that when he's forwardly placed, he can be a player.
Yeah, absolutely. When I watched the elimination, it just felt like he was kind of one speed most of the way. And that's the thing that I think it's going to make it difficult. Now combine that with post 10. He just hasn't shown me quite enough recently to suggest that he could pull some kind of minor miracle from post 10. But again, there's so much quality there. In person, it's a beautiful animal to look at. And he certainly looks fit and happy and ready to go. So would I be shocked to see him pick up some money? Absolutely not.
Right. So that's a look at both of the eliminations heading into this weekend's final. Ken, we're going to put together a couple of graphics called the Pace Previews with a couple of facts going into this weekend's race. There it is, a couple of nice facts. $688,000 Meadowlands Pace. Confederate equaled the elimination record of 147-2. Teacher Compelling combined have 9 wins. A Diamond Creek swept the eliminations. They'll have 3 starters heading into the final. The Tactor Trio all get driver changes heading into the final. Lauren Tritton and the McCarthy brothers look to make history.
Yeah, I was very surprised when it came to the 3 driver changes on the Tactor Colts. You just don't see that very often. Now she has 3 very capable drivers on board, but yeah, to see that much shuffling from the eliminations to the final, intriguing. But we noticed one guy stayed put, and that was Tim Tetrick, understandably so.
Cannibal, 4 for 4 on the season. We talked about him earlier, maybe facing a little bit of lesser company, proved in the Meadowlands Pace. Yannick will go for the Pace Grand Slam, of course, finishing off the story of Some Beach Somewhere last year with Beach Class and Brent McGrath. Fulton was Dexter Dunn's choice in here, and the North America Cup. El Rey lures the money man, that was his choice. And Bucopoulos is just really making the state of New Jersey proud.
Yeah, he is. He's kind of the hometown horse, and he's trying to prove that he's more than just a top New Jersey Sire Stakes colt. He can compete on the Grand Circuit, and he showed very well in the elimination. Dexter Dunn sticking with Fulton, showing some loyalty there, and that's a good sign for a horse that was 5th in the elimination. I mean, some probably thought that he might go elsewhere, but he sticks with Fulton from post 1. And yeah, I think Scott Zeron picks up a very live drive in El Rey. Scott has won almost everything there is to win in the sport. If not this year, it won't be long before he adds a Meadowlands Pace trophy to his trophy case.
And taking a look at leading trainers, we talked about Brett Pelling, of course, David's Pass, Dream Away, the Panda Rosa, Rock and Roll, Hanover. It's been since 2005, so maybe it will be the year to get win at number 5 in the Pace.
Yeah, it would be quite a gap. It would be a really great storyline to add to the ones that we've already mentioned. To not win it since 2005. In fact, he moved back to his home country for a number of years and back to North America. And here he is, right back in the Meadowlands Pace with the horse to beat. History perhaps going to repeat itself this weekend.
Bill Robinson has the 3 there, and of course plenty of 2, Blair Burgess, William Houghton, Harry Poulton, Monty Gerald, Steve Elliott, and Ray Schnicker. Leading drivers, of course, led by John Campbell with 7. Tetrick, the only active driver there, he's got 5. He'll make to look at 6. It's been since 2014 with He's Watching. Ron Pierce has 4. Yannick, 3, along with Brian Sears. Yannick is looking to make it a Grand Slam. And we have 3 drivers with 2 wins in the Pace. So lots more history that could be made.
Not surprising. The gold standard when it comes to this race is John Campbell, 7 wins, as you said. His first all the way back in '82 with Hilarion. He was a post-10 winner. Interesting story there that Bill O'Donnell, the Magic Man, had the drive initially, picked off of him, and Campbell picked him up, and that was the first of his 23 victories in $1 million races over the course of his career. 7 in total, but Timmy Tetrick, with a win this weekend, puts himself just 1 win away from challenging the all-time driver mark in the history of this event. It's amazing. What's also amazing to me when we look at the star-studded driver lineup just this weekend, that only 3 of them have ever tasted victory in this particular race. It's not an easy race to win.
It isn't. Of course, we go back to 2019 with Better's Wish, Captain Crunch, Best in Show, Working on a Mystery. They all hit the wire together. I think that was a very exciting race. Of course, Best in Show, and Brian Steers got the win there for trainer Linda Toscano. Favorites in the Meadowlands Pace, 23 of 46. Have won the Meadowlands Pace finals of 50%, and of course, favorites have finished in the money 36 of 46 editions at 78.3%. So again, it's not everything has to go right on that day to get the win.
Yeah, and it's a pretty high win rate for the favorites overall, of course, at 50%. But some great ones have gone down to defeat. I think of Some Beach Somewhere from a few years back, of course. The great Jate Lobel, the year he went down to defeat when Frugal Gourmet won. You know, he had trouble even getting to the racetrack that night. There was a big traffic jam apparently on the turnpike. He got here at the 11th hour just in time to get here for the race, and unfortunately got caught in traffic in the race as well. And never really factored. So you just never know, and that adds to the intrigue of the event.
Winning post positions, post 5, the winningest post position in Meadowlands Pace history. Of course, having 8 winners from there. And I'll be dang, look at it, the morning line favorite Confederate gets post 5.
You know what shocks me when I look at that, as that post 10's been able to win this event 4 times. We talked about Hilarion winning, and it's pretty amazing. Some good post positions there normally haven't been as productive in this final. So just an interesting statistic. I'm not sure what to read into it, and I don't think, unfortunately, with the way the game has changed in the history of this race and the way speed holds up now, I think, you know, to see a winner come from post 10 down the road will be something extra special. I
think you're right, and it's just interesting to see. You know, we put that new plan in place last year with the draw, winning, you know, post position. So, you know, to win it, to get a good post position is everything, in my opinion. Taking a look at the records, of course, the last record was in 2014, 46-4. He's watching, and that was Tim Petrick.
Yeah, and you know, we've got the type of field, and it looks like the weather forecast will be conducive to speed again this weekend. So you never know. I'm not sure we fully expected that kind of a mile that year. And interesting too, we talked about Some Beach Somewhere going down to defeat in 2008. Here's a big reason why. He was caught 3 wide in the fastest half in the history of the event and fastest 3/4 time of 1:19.1. That was the night that Artificial went the race of his life and upended Some Beach Somewhere and provided us with one of the greatest, not only Meadowlands Pace, one of the greatest standardbred horse races of all time.
Yeah, it gives me goosebumps every time I go back and watch it. And of course, last year to have Beach Class finish it off, he had, of course, Some Beach Somewhere's first crop. Of course, is one of in Captain Treacherous. That was 10 years ago, and his last crop was last year with Beach Glass for the same connections. It was just such a sweet story to be able to tell.
Yeah, his legacy's going to live on. I looked at his statistics recently, just for fun, and what he did as a stallion, he was a true game changer. Statistics that likely won't be replicated going forward. It's just a shame that his career, of course, was cut short as a stallion.
Of course it is. All right, that is a look at the Meadowlands Pace in depth. We're going to take a quick timeout, and when we come back, we have plenty more stakes action to cover, and we're going to take a look at the Del Miller Memorials and the Stanley Dancer Memorials.
Garage Farm is one of the leading breeders of trotting talent in North America. The farm that sold Slip Sliding Away this year in Lexington for $510,000 and has produced millionaires like Ferner, Muscles Marinara, Whiskey Tax, and Dewey Color in the Line, as well as great fillies like Barn Doll, Jezzy, and Beautiful Sen. The Garage Farm trotting tradition continuing at a track near you.
One date, one place, the Pace. Saturday, July 15th is the best party in harness racing. The Meadowlands Pace, only at the Meadowlands Racetrack. First post is 6:20 p.m. with over $2.4 million in stakes races, including the Meadowlands Pace. Come out for a free t-shirt, taste delicious burgers in our annual Best Burger Food Truck Battle, and play carnival games. Plus enjoy great music by DJ Alex. Visit playmeadowlands.com for Burger Battle, live racing, and dining details. Must be 18 plus to wager. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to the side set at the Meadowlands. Just gotten here alongside Greg Blanchard, who thankfully stuck around for the week in between Meadowlands Pace eliminations and the Meadowlands Pace final. We have plenty of stakes action ahead this weekend, including the Del Miller Memorial and the Stanley Dancer Memorials, which are kind of like previews for the Hambletonian and the Hambletonian Oaks.
Yeah, we're going to get a look at a lot of horses we'll see much more of here in the coming weeks, of course, with an eye on the Hambo and the Hambo Oaks, and some great matchups in the Del Miller Memorial, the two divisions we're going to see there. In the first split, Quick Stop is one that's back in action recently, has had 3 starts under her belt. A miscue at Yonkers in a non-winners event in start number 2, but bounced back with a big win in the Reynolds last time out. First win in 3 this year. Of course, she made almost $300,000 last year. And Instagram Model, she was 5 for 8, one of the top rookie fillies in North America last year, and she is 1 for 4 this year. She was a good 3rd at the Meadowlands here last time, came from a long way back with 26 and 3 final quarter speed. So it looks like a good matchup in that tilt.
It does, and you know, Instagram Model was facing older horses, Justice, a 4-year-old open trotter there, and Quick Stop, going back to that break, I just think she appreciates the mile track. That was the first time she was on a half-mile track. And of course, Blonde Bombshell coming off of a 4th place in this wagon. Secret Volo, that was an 8-1 upset winner from Coast 7 at Yonkers in that New York mile for 3-year-old filly trotters there. So Marcus Melander has a nice horse on his hands on the 3-year-old filly trot there as well. The next division of the Del Miller Memorial is race number 4. It's a field of 7. We were able to see Mamba Sita train this week, and she just looks so cool, calm, and collected. And of course, we have Bond, 3 for 3 this year, 10 for 12 lifetime, and she just is so flashy on the racetrack as well.
Yeah, that is the matchup. Bond with an eye perhaps on the Hambletonian. At this point in time, no reason to think that she might not be pointing toward that marquee event for Auke Svanstedt, one of a couple of very special fillies in his barn. But for the time being, she'll have her hands full with Mamba Sita, who's been tearing it up in Kentucky of late, won the Kentucky Sire Stakes final last time out at Oak Grove over the 5/8 mile oval there. And, you know, we saw her the other day. She looked fantastic. But Tony was saying that the trip there and back kind of took its toll on her, and he was very happy with the way she's bounced back physically and mentally since returning here.
Yeah, she said just a few days and she seems to be back to herself as well. I want to go back to Bond really quickly. She had post 10, I think it was in the kindergarten final last year, post 9 in the Goldsmith final. And I've never seen a 2-year-old filly trotter leave the gate and swoop the field to the front like she did. She has got such a quick turn of foot off of the gate.
And she'll need that, frankly, and that's, you know, having that kind of weapon is likely why at this point in time they're considering very strongly the Hambletonian. Now, her stablemate Special Way was scheduled to qualify last weekend and didn't. We're not 100% sure at this point the status of her with just a few weeks to go before the Hambletonian. So perhaps this filly steps up as one of the key contenders from the Svanstedt Brigade.
It would be a nice Hambletonian Oaks preview. Those go as races 3 and 4, of course, sponsored by Knutson and Trotting. Races 10 and 13 is when the boys will take the stage in the Stanley Dancer Memorial. And we're having to get to see Gaines Hanover, the Breeders' Crown champ last year, first start over the U.S. soil. Unfortunately, Volume 8 is scratched out of this division of the Del Miller, but Air Power picks up Dexter Dunn. He was airborne in that Reynolds event last time out.
Yeah, he was raced cautiously last time out from well off the pace, and just simply had too far to come, and did all he could do on that occasion. Flew home, and was very good. So even though he didn't win, he turned a lot of heads. Nobody jumping off of his bandwagon at this point on the road to the Hambletonian. Picks up Dexter Dunn, great post to work with there. We'll see if Kierkegaard can bounce back from a miscue in the Yonkers trot. And yes, it's interesting to see the champion from Canada, Gaines Hanover, Breeders' Crown champ from last year, making his Big M debut. So a very intriguing division of the Stanley Dancer Memorial Saturday.
Yeah, Air Power trotted home in 25-3, and it trotted his mile in 1:52-2. Of course, the New Jersey Sire Stakes final. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that race, but he was locked in on the rail, and when Andy was able to feed him, racetrack, he trotted home so quickly and so strongly, trotting his mile in 1:50-4. He turned a lot of heads that day, dismissed at odds of better than 3-1, and is 0-for-4 on the season. He's got 4 second-place finishes. Of course, he was the Mohawk Million champion last year. Him and Timmy T will have to navigate through post 7.
A lot to get sorted out here in the next few weeks, Jess. It is a fun time of year. We're going to see who's who as we close in on the Hambletonian.
The next division of the Stanley Dancer Memorial goes as race 13, sponsored by Lexington Selected Yearling Sale. Tactical approach. Had a little bit of time off before going into the Reynolds. Celebrity Bambino has been very good. Winner's Bet kind of jumped up and surprised a bunch of us last week. Kilmister, of course, he was 5 for 10 on the season last year. I think this is quite a wide open event.
Yeah, you're right. Winner's Bet did surprise, but probably shouldn't have when you look at his resume from last year. An outstanding trotting colt as a rookie, and he was ready to go at first asking, winning a division of the Reynolds with a sharp final quarter speed. You've got Celebrity Bambino in the field as well, and he was a very impressive off-the-pace winner in his Reynolds split as well for Team Burt. He looks like a player. Kilmister from the Melander stable. And once in a lifetime, it was a once in a lifetime day for Jim Campbell last year on Hambo Day, sweeping both the Oaks and the Hambletonian in upset fashion in both cases. Can once in a lifetime be his ticket back to the Hambletonian again this year? He's looked very good in Pennsylvania so far.
He did look very good in that Pennsylvania Sire Stakes at Harris, Philadelphia, back on July the 2nd. He was an open length winner by 6, trotting in 1:53-3, and he was just so flashy while doing it.
Yeah, I think the times aren't going to turn heads as much as what we've seen here at the Meadowlands. That doesn't dissuade me in the least. Everybody will take a different path or a different approach to getting to the Hambletonian. They've all got the same prize in mind at the end of the day. And Jim Campbell, he's been around a long time. I'm sure he knows what he's sitting on. So it'll be very intriguing to watch, and hopefully he makes a good account of himself Saturday and gets himself in the Hambo picture.
Yes, both of those Stanley Dancer Memorials will be shown on Fox Sports 1 broadcast that goes from 10 to midnight on Saturday night. They are sponsored by Lexington Selected Yearling Sale. It's really unfortunate that we won't see Volume 8 as he was scratched out of that first division. DRF did tweet out and say that they were going to have more on that in their newsletter later on. So hopefully it's just something minor. So that's a look at the Hambletonian Oaks and Hambletonian preview. Really looking forward to that. Of course, it's the first Saturday in August, but there's plenty more stakes action to take a look at. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll take a look at the Hambletonian maturity and the older stake races as well.
On FanDuel Casino, we make it easy to turn your site credit into real money. Unlike other casinos who make you wager your site credit over and over before you can withdraw it, we play fair. Just play through it once and you keep what you win. Turning all your site credit into real cash is that simple. Plus, you'll get paid your way, quickly and securely. Come see why FanDuel Casino promotions give you so much more than other online casinos. Join FanDuel Casino and play it again with up to $1,000 back if you're down on your first day.
Become a member of the United States Trotting Association and take advantage of special benefits including pathway savings, member pricing on American Horse Council publications, and discounts on products and services, and so much more. USTrotting.com is where you'll find entries and results from all the racetracks and get behind-the-scenes stories as the USTA visits farms and stables before major races such as the Hambletonian, Little Brown Jug, and Breeders' Crown. It's easy to join. Fill out the new member form on our website or call our member services department at 877-800-USTA.
The greatest day in harness racing happens Saturday, August 5th at the Meadowlands Racetrack. Over $3.2 million in stakes races, including the top 3-year-old filly trotters and colt trotters in the $500,000 Hambletonian Oaks and the $1 million Hambletonian. Fans can enjoy the hat giveaway, live music by the Craig Saylor Project, carnival rides and games, food trucks, pony rides, and more. Doors open at 10 a.m. with first race at 12 noon. Details at playmeadowlands.com. Must be 18 plus to wager. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome back to the side set at the Meadowlands. Jessica on alongside Greg Blanchard. Plenty of stakes action left to chat about on Saturday night. It's a blockbuster card event. 6:20 p.m. is first post. Of course, you can watch it live on Facebook and YouTube. It will be streamed. You can sign up for RTN.tv and you can watch the Fox Sports 1 broadcast from 10 p.m. to midnight. We're going to dive a little deeper into a few more of these races, Greg. Race 6 will be the Gary Hamiltonian Maturity. That is for 4-year-old open trotters. And, you know, a horse that has really been eye-catching and head-turning this year, running out of words to describe her, is Jiggy Jog.
You're right. And, you know, great, fantastic, incomparable. You know, the list goes on. I cannot remember a horse coming back and embarking on the 4-year-old season and making such an immediate impact and dominating. And, you know, 2 back was the race that I think really, you know, hit home for me. She beat Bella Bellini, who, you know, had every chance to go by her. And we know how great Bella Bellini has been over the course of her career. And she just simply couldn't get by the wheel of this one. And Jiggy Jog was doing it easily that night for Auke Svanstedt, who was in the driver's seat. And then to come back and just simply trounce rivals last week with such authority. She not only is the best female trotter in the sport, right now she is the best trotter, period.
You know what I really like? She's such a professional horse, don't get me wrong, but there was a lot going on in that first turn last week. I think they were 3 wide to the quarter. There was a breaker to her outside, and she just sat there so professionally and waited for Dexter to move her, and once he moved her, she was just gone. I mean, you saw that rolling in the stretch.
Yeah, and the only way I could describe it last week, she reminds me right now of a robotic trotter. She's just the gait is flawless. The temperament out on the racetrack, and you can do anything you want with her, and you know, she simply doesn't get tired. And last week she just trotted away from her competition in devastating fashion. It's been fun to watch, and I think we're just scratching the surface. I don't know what to expect from her this weekend, but I can't wait to see it.
I'm very much looking forward to this weekend, and of course, you know, the rest of her career as well. It's great to see owners bring back horses at the age of 4 when they can head to the breeding shed. But, you know, there are a couple of other nice horses in this race. It's a field of 9. Of course, you've got last year's Hamiltonian winner, Cool Papa Bell. It was nice to see him get on the right track again last week. He made a break in that first graduate here behind the gate, and then he come back and he recovered. He was scratch sick, but he really picked up ground and made up ground there in that graduate trot final.
Yeah, of course, everybody was watching Jiggy Jog, myself included, but I was keeping a half an eye on this guy to see how he would perform. Very encouraging effort for him, and he fired home similar to the way he did last year when he won the Hamiltonian. And MM's Dream, she'll have the outside of the gate here on Saturday night. She's another one that we had a chance to you know, quickly have a look at this past week when we were visiting the farm, and she came back with a really nice qualifying effort last time out after dominating in the Miss Versatility in June. She'd made a miscue the start prior to that, so that was a kind of a huge statement race for her in June. She beat the best trotting mares in the sport at that point in time, and she did it handily. So she's a quality trotter in here, definitely belongs with these. Post 9 though, with Jiggy Jog toward the inside, tough obstacle.
It is a tough obstacle. Of course, there is also Raised by Lindy. She was an Armbro Flight elimination winner, finished 4th in the final, was 4th in the 6-pack. And you know, a horse who's really kind of turned my head this year is Looks Like Money. He danced in a lot of big dances last year, but you know, since coming back to the Big M 3 starts to go into the Megan's Grand Barn, you know, he really likes to trot home from off the pace. I know he tried to cut it there 2 back and just got beat a neck in 50 and change, but again, he trotted home, you know, pretty dominantly behind Jiggy Jog last week.
Yeah, so many nice trotters in the field. The one that's disappointed me a little bit, and I hope I didn't put the kiss of death on him, Pretender. You know, he looked like he was coming out of the blocks really well this season early on. I picked him in my Standardbred Canada Trot Fantasy stable this year, and he's struggled since then. So I'm really hoping Pretender can get it back on the rails, not only for his connections, but for my fantasy pool.
Yeah, that is, hopefully he does. Of course, Nancy Tactor also sends out the 5 keg stand in there as well. That will go as race number 6. It's 1 mile and an 1/8, and that kicks off the first of 3 Pick 4 pools, and it's a guaranteed at $50,000. The next race we're going to take a look at is an overflow field of 11. Of course, that is the William Houghton Memorial. And the talk of the town is Alleywags coming back. You've got Ruthless Hanover, we got a Buckabet Hanover, we got Mad Max Hanover. It's definitely a full field of speed and quality horses. I want to go back to the Dave Brower Memorial when Ruthless Hanover was dismissed at 3-1. I thought that was very good value on him, even though I did like a Buckabet in that race. And he put up a solid 1:46.4 mile. And there's a Buckabet Hanover closing on the outside, and he was parked every step of the way.
Just it seems to be the MO for a Buckabet Hanover. If there's a more hard luck pacer in the older division, where they always seems to have trouble finding the right trip on the right night, I'd say it's him, but he overcomes it more often than not. But yeah, 3-1 in hindsight on Ruthless Hanover when it's an absolute gift because he dominated from start to finish. And the game has changed at this level to be able to simply go to the front and say, catch me if you can, and bottom out world-class horses is amazing to watch. And we all know what happened this time last year during the Houghton final when Bulldog Hanover electrified the racing world. And, with a Ruthless Hanover, Allywag now we're working back into shape, a Buckabet Hanover, and they're all leaving right beside each other in the gate. This sets up for some potential fireworks.
It was good to see Allywag come out of that mishap at Mohawk. We had a chance to see him. Brett said he came out of that last race, great. He's been feeling himself. So it was really good to hear that. He's going to get some post relief after that overnight try. I made up plenty of ground pacing home in 26-2. My pal Joe won that race that night. But look at the rest of this field. I mean, you've got Charlie May, who is a $1.6 million earner, 54 lifetime. He's been racing in the Opens. Of course, he was second in the Battle of Lake Erie. You've got By the Missile, another Ohio horse there. Was scratched out of the Juravinsky. I thought that was a very sharp qualifier. Look at that last quarter, 24-4. Little Brown Jug winner from last year. I Did It My Way. He's been racing very well. I thought he was really good in his graduate final. I mean, you've got This Is the Plan, a Tattoo Artist. We're just overloaded with horses and quality in this race.
There are 8 millionaires in the field. So, and among them, the triple millionaire, This Is the Plan, who will be a long shot, no question, but a classy individual. He'll get himself into the mix somewhere along the way. Yeah, I mean, just a world-class field, top to bottom. Take the 11th ranked horse in this field and would be a stable star for most operations. But Ruthless Hanover, a Buckabet, Allywag, they will likely get the bulk of the attention. And you're right, By the Missile, like Allywag, Hanover has had to overcome some adversity early in the season. Got very sick. It would have been the probable heavy favorite in the Juravinsky final. Came up quite sick, had a high temperature. They've nursed him back to health, and by the look of that qualifier and how good he looked at the farm earlier this week, he's ready to go. Will he be ready, for a 46 effort here tonight? That's likely what it's going to take to compete. I wouldn't be shocked.
Right. It's like I said, there's plenty of very good quality horses. There's a couple of driver choices in here. Yannick took By the Missile over This Is the Plan, so This Is the Plan will pick up Jordan Stratton. Scott Zeron will get I Did It My Way as Andy McCarthy went with a Buckabet Hanover. Tim Tetrick stuck with Ruthless Hanover, and Troy Byer will get a Mad Max Hanover. That will go as race number 12 on Saturday night, the William Houghton Memorial Place, sponsored by Fashion Farms. And the next one we're going to talk about, I'm very excited.
Who's your pick in the Houghton? We should ask that.
I went with a Buckabet again.
Yeah, me too.
I did. I think he's going to I think the post relief will help him. I take nothing away from Ruthless Hanover, but I just can't get over, after being parked in those kind of fractions with a Buckabet and then still pace forward and make up ground in Ruthless Hanover, I wanted to give him another shot.
Yeah, and similar to last year when he was chasing Bulldog Hanover. Yep. And you marveled, at some of the miles he went, and it was only good enough to be third or fourth because he was coming from so far back. So you have to think from post 3 he's going to be within shouting distance.
And something I really like about this colt now, I think at the age of 5, is 2- and 3-year-old year, and most of his 4-year-old year, he was raced from off the pace until maybe the qualifier that Andrew Harris had him last year. They put him on the front, and that's what I really liked to see. So then we've seen him on the front in a couple of those qualifiers. So now I've seen the versatility worked into him. So if he does get put in a spot where he can get put on the front end and control things, I really do think, he can get the job done Saturday night.
Yeah, he's a little guy with a big engine. So, yeah, fingers crossed that we're both right.
Yeah, hopefully. Moving on to the Dorothy Houghton Memorial, sponsored by David and Mary Ellen McDuffie. It is another overflow field of 11. It will go as race number 9. And talk about another, action-packed field. We saw Grace Hill get beat in the perfect sting by Silver Label, and we're actually going to roll that stretch drive in because I don't know about you, but I picked Silver Label behind Grace Hill, so I was happy to have this trifecta here. Talk about a steamroll first over kind of journey. I mean, she just wore down Grace Hill like it was nothing.
Yeah, you just never know when a champion filly comes in from another jurisdiction. How did they travel? How are they going to stack up against the best of the best at a new venue? How are they going to handle the new track? Well, as we see a lot, horses from Canada that come down here, they step forward. Silver Label did that, and she's a champion filly in her own right, but I don't think anyone saw that coming. I picked her in the top 4 because I've seen her race firsthand. I knew what a quality mare we were looking at here, but still to think she was going to go out and dominate the likes of a Grace Hill on that night, I didn't see it coming. Having said that, I firmly believe Grace Hill wasn't 100% the Grace Hill we saw in Canada. And, that soft third quarter that allowed Silver Label to get right up and challenge her was the difference. But what she did in the stretch was amazing. She paced away from the best mares in the world.
I don't think we're going to get 14-1 on Silver Label this week. I think we're going to get much lower of a price. She had post 11. She actually followed out Grace Hill off of the gate there. And I talked to Scotty Z after the race, and he said, I kind of lost him going into the first turn. I said, well, what kind of happened? And he said, well, with the way Dougie's horse was traveling, he was going to have to make his move to the front. I didn't want to do that quite yet. Then he got stuck, uncovered first over. And, she just really put up a dominant performance. And in that Roses Are Red final, she had plenty of pace. I mean, she left, she sat the pocket, she weaved through horses coming home. But there is plenty of other horses to look at here as well. Like we had mentioned, Grace Hill, maybe that soft third quarter was too soft for her. A couple of weeks off. I mean, she had plenty of starts under her belt. That was her 6th start of the year. But I thought Racing Belle put up a very good performance from an outside post.
What a great mare she is. $1 million earned, and at times has been able to step up against the very best and surprise. It would be a surprise to see her jump up and win, but to be somewhere on the ticket, not in the least. And there's a bunch that you could say that for in here. I'm really interested to see if the defending champ can, add to her greatness with a post 10 win on Saturday night against the likes of Silver Label and Grace Hill. Test of faith. What a great comeback effort for her last week. Came from out of the clouds. I think you'll see her try and be more forwardly spotted this time around in the lucrative final. And if that happens, what Test of Faith has the ability to win even with that post 10 obstacle in the way. She's one of the greatest, and we saw her at the farm the other day, and you couldn't get much more chill and relaxed than she was. She was just taking a nap when we were there and lifted her head just to say hi quickly, and then went back to sleep. And great ones to take care of herself. I expect her to be heard from in a big way this weekend.
Yes, and talking to plenty of people north and south of the border this week, getting some picks and tickets. A lot of people are really liking Max Contract, and I like her in this spot too. She loves the Big M. She's got a couple of starts under her belt. She was interfered with from post 10. Now she gets post 5. What do you think of her this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think they're so close. There's a cluster of 4 or 5 horses there that are going to get overlooked. People are going to gravitate to Silver Label based on what she did. Of course, Test of Faith and Grace Hill. But outside of that, there's 4 or 5 that, you know, leaving them out is very dangerous, and they just simply need a little bit of racing luck. And that's the difference, I think, with a Test of Faith especially. She can make her own racing luck. I think the other ones at this level need some others to do some work and then fall into the right kind of a trip. So it's great from the horse player's perspective. This is the type of card that, you know, people are going to dive into for sure.
It's going to be exciting because we also have Amazing Dream, Treacherous Dragon, Kobe's Gigi, Boudoir Hanover, and Michaela, who also have plenty of gate speed, plenty of versatility, and nice mares in their own rights. That goes as race number 9 on Saturday night, and we have one final race to take a look at. We don't have a roll-in for this one because a couple of these horses haven't raced here quite yet, and I am so beyond excited to see Sylvia Hanover come to the U.S. and race on U.S. soil. I saw her in the Breeders' Crown final last year at Woodbine Mohawk Park, and she's had my eye from the moment she stepped on the racetrack.
She was really quirky to watch last year. I don't know
Yes.
if you remember, Jess, but in a lot of the races, you know, the hardest working person in the race was driver Bob. I can't remember seeing anything like it, you know, when it comes to a top Grand Circuit performer, where, you know, he had to kind of chase her and work on her and keep her mind on business the entire way, and she'd do just what she had to do to win. So this year she's, it looks like she's matured and is a little bit racier and a little bit easier to manage for Bob in the races when it comes to that, and hasn't missed a beat in terms of the talent. She's looked dominant so far. Yeah, I think we're all anxious to see what can she do in her first start here. You know, and there's something to reference here with the connections. Mark Stacey, most people in the industry certainly know that name. And I'll remember a mare from a few years back, Hannah Hanover, when she came here. She was a really nice mare at Mohawk at the time, raced kind of at the top level, was a 50-51 mare up there. Came here and immediately was able to beat the top mares in the sport, pacing in sub 150 times back then. So she stepped forward. We saw it with Silver Label last week. Stockade Sealster, I think, was going to be fantastic in his elimination until he jumped it off. And I expect Sylvia Hanover to do something special as well.
And she's gonna, you know, reunite with Twinbee Joe Fresh, a horse that we've seen here at the Meadowlands plenty of times. She comes off of a win in the New York Sire Stakes at Vernon Downs. Of course, they met up in the Fan Hanover. It almost looked like she was going to go right by Sylvia Hanover, and she said, nope, not today.
And, you know, if Sylvia Hanover were not in this field, Twinbee Joe Fresh would be undoubtedly a heavy favorite in here. This is a great filly in her own right. And you never know. You never know. You know, Sylvia Hanover's had the ship down here, and, you know, how will she acclimate? We anticipate she'll simply do what she's done north of the border, and in fact maybe even step up a little bit here. Twinbee Joe Fresh, she'll be waiting to try and rebound and try and turn the tables on that rival here. And, you know, Team Stacey's got a pretty nice 1-2 punch front page story. A little bit lightly raced when it comes to Grand Circuit competition, but this is a talented lass that's no slouch either. So, you know, I think both will be heard from, but Sylvia Hanover is undoubtedly the star of the division.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Bellissima Hanover, one of Tony Alania trainees in here post-Aper. All you see on the program pages are qualifiers. She had 3 wins from 12 starts last year. She was the Kindergarten Classic winner, and she's qualified in against some pretty nice horses. Amazing Dream, Test of Faith, and she even you know, had a nice gate to wire qualifier on the front end there. So interesting that he's qualified her this many times. I'm curious to see what she's going to do to come into the race.
Yeah, you know, we got to talk to Tony, and that's one we didn't have a chance to unfortunately ask him, because yeah, I'm very curious to know. We did talk about Rocky Road Hanover, one that people are anxious to see back in action, and he said he's going to qualify a 3rd time with him. He said he's just he's a bit overweight. He's too heavy. Yeah, we've got to get him fit, and Tony just knows when you come to race for the first time, you have to be ready to go. And some horses are ready off 1 qualifier, some take 3 or 4.
Right.
Maybe that's the case with this one. You know, she hasn't been able to win in those qualifiers, but obviously they think now's the time to to get her into action and let her start racing.
That is another action-packed overflow field of 11 that goes as race number 8, sponsored by Odds On Racing and Win Back Farms. That is a look at all of the stakes action on Saturday night. Of course, we have 12 New Jersey Sire Stakes division on Friday night. That gets underway at 6:20 p.m. We're going to take a quick timeout, and when we come back, we're going to tell you everything that's happening on Saturday night.
Master harness racing with the power of DRF Harness. It's a must for every standard-bred player. Read fresh stories from award-winning writers like Jay Bergman, Derek Givner, and more. Raise your game with best-in-class harness IPPs and analysis from top tracks. Visit drf.com/harness to sign up for the free DRF Harness Digest newsletter and get informed today.
Harness Racing Update is the sport's most comprehensive and timely news source. HRU covers the sport from all angles with news, features, photography, opinion, and analysis of racing. Also, HRU covers breeding and sales, as well as industry stories you need to know. It's all delivered by a deep, diverse, and talented team of writers and photographers. And the best news is that it's free to subscribe. Subscribe to HRU today for free at harnessracingupdate.com and see what everyone is talking about.
Not only do we have plenty of racing action on the track on Saturday night, post time 6:20 p.m., we have plenty going on here at the track. Greg, we have a t-shirt giveaway, as you can see behind us. That begins at 5 p.m. It's the first 5,000. It is. I really like it. The color this year. Of course, you can use the hashtag PaceThis23 on social media and get involved in the conversation. Send us your Meadowlands Pace pick or any of your thoughts and tickets on that. We also have $500 win wagers as well. You can head to playmeadowlands.com and find the details out on how to win those and place a Meadowlands Pace $500 win wager, as well as streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. You'll be able to watch the whole Meadowlands Pace card live on that. Plus, we have Fox Sports 1 coverage. Gabe and I will join Paul and Acacia from 10 p.m. to midnight on Saturday night. That includes races 10 through 14, both divisions of the Stanley Dancer, the Meadowlands Pace Final, and the William Houghton. It's been a lot of fun covering the races on Fox with Gabe, and really looking forward to another action-packed card. Plus, we have our burger battle here. The apron will be full of food trucks. Plenty for you to get involved, plenty for you to eat, I guess I should say. You can enter for a chance to win a seat at the judging table. So plenty of food options there. And tonight, Edison Hatter will have his In the Money round table, and they're going to actually do more of the handicapping part of this. We kind of just dissected it.
Yeah.
They're gonna do the handicapping part of it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I hope I can get a race off Saturday night to try the burger battle. That's going to be fantastic. And is there not a mechanical shark?
Oh, there is
well?
a mechanical shark. There's DJ Mechanical Shark. There's a couple of games and stuff out there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute blast. It looks like we're going to have the weather to go along with it. The round table tonight. That's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see, who do we have on there? We've got Edison Hatter, of course, from the Big M Show. Ray Catola, Rob Reed Jr. from Ontario will be joining. Mike Proposi and Thomas Svensson as well, and Derek Givner from DRF. So that's a great panel.
It
is.
Some
of the bright young minds in the sport. They love to handicap. They love to play the ponies, and they know their stuff. So this is going to be must-watch TV, especially if you're thinking of playing the big card this Saturday.
Like we said, there's plenty of wagering opportunities. We have free program pages each and every live racing night. You can find those. And of course, the wagering menu at playmeadowlands.com. Underneath of the handicapping tab, you can head to our Twitter page on Friday and Saturday night for best bets, Price plays pick 5s, pick 4s, and all sorts of picks there as well.
And for those that were tuning in today, I know you had a quick chance to have a look. What's the consensus? Who are most people picking?
People are going towards Confederate. I did see a couple of Vucafalises as well, but a majority of the people are going with Confederate. Of course, there is the still there. Who is your pick, Greg Blanchard?
Confederate.
Yep.
He looks so good in winning. He looks so good getting to see him in person. Post 5, perfect spot for him. Tetrick and Pelling, they're not going to shy away from the big stage, of course. And he just has so many weapons at his disposal. Is he unbeatable? Absolutely not. I think there's 2 or 3 that I put in that second grouping in behind him that if things go their way, they could win. Vucafalis is in that mix for me, Christchurch, and the other one is El Rey. Cannibal, not far off. I thought he had a perfect trip the other night and just got there. Maybe he fools me this week and can race a different way and still get there. He'll have to prove that to me still, but great field, but Confederate to me stands out just a little bit at this point in the season.
I have to agree with you on that. That is who I put on the top in there, and I agree with you with the rest of them. I think Vucafalis, if he can take a step again in the right direction after not maybe having being 100% in that elimination. I think Christchurch getting Yannick in the bike will be interesting to see again as well. I know he baby raced him. El Rey, like you had mentioned, I really like to see him kind of almost back to his old self. He had a couple of disappointing trips, but I think first start Lasix helped him. And I think we talked about this at the farm. I'm a big third-time Lasix person, but it's really good to see horses prevail and go forward first-time Lasix.
And a shout out to the names of some of the colts in the field here. These are top-notch names. When you think good horses, you want cool names, and we have a lot of them here. Imagine Ken Workington and It's a Me, Mario coming down the grandstand side. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And it's give a little shout out to It's a Me, Mario. Their son Levi actually named the horse, and he always goes to the races with a little Mario action figure on his harness. So that was pretty cool to see. They sent me some pictures I'll be posting on social media. There you have it. A final look at the post positions, the drivers, and the horses for the $688,000 Meadowlands Pace Final.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait. The countdown is on. And great little appetizer tomorrow night with 2-year-olds, almost an entire program of them, and the future stars.
Yes, I think there's 12 divisions in total, pacers, trotters, females, males, for the 2-year-olds tomorrow night, 6:20 p.m. post. Plenty of action to get involved tomorrow night as well. Well, we thank you all for joining us on this Meadowlands Pace review and preview. We hope to see you at the track this weekend. And if you have any questions about anything happening, just head to playmeadowlands.com, click on the event tab, and head to the Meadowlands Pace site. You can find out any answer to any question there.